guys, welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. Well, some of you have been following or had been following the case against Mackenzie Shirilla. Now, you probably heard that her appeal was denied at the end of June, and it wasn't denied because of the actual appeal. But let me back up, and for those that are not familiar with the case, just give you a bit of backstory. I do have a couple of videos here on the channel. I'll probably be doing some more, but there is a playlist for this case. Mackenzie was convicted in 2023 of the murder of Dominic Russo, her boyfriend at the time, and their friend Davion Flanagan. So this is obviously Mackenzie on the screen as well as Dom and Davion. The judge sentenced her to life in prison with parole eligibility after 15 years served, after the prosecution stated that the evidence showed the crash was intentional, pointing to surveillance video, the black box from her car, that data, as well as evidence that the car was traveling nearly 100 miles per hour when it hit that building's brick wall without braking. Now, the Ohio Supreme Court, they declined or denied the appeal due to the fact that the appeal was submitted one day late. Had to do with the whole leap year situation. But honestly, I mean, you're going to be late. You have all this time to submit it, and they were late. They stated in court documents that they requested a review due to the mistake on the calendar on their part. And it had to do again with the failure to account for 2024 being a leap year. Whether or not you buy that, well, that's up to you. But the Ohio Supreme Court, they didn't care about this reasoning or excuse, and they affirmed their decision. They stated that the trial court correctly determined it was without jurisdiction to consider the petition. So at this point, they have denied to hear her appeal. Under Ohio law, convicted defendants generally have 365 days after the trial transcripts are filed to challenge their conviction. So the deadline for Mackenzie Shirilla started October 23rd, 2023, and her attorneys, they filed that appeal on October 24th of 2024. Yeah. One day late. But you got to be on time for most things in life, and this was a very important deadline, and they had 365 days to do it, and I don't know. Now, she does have new attorneys again, and we're going to go through this interview that her parents did with Chris Cuomo momentarily. And those attorneys have filed yet another appeal with the Ohio Supreme Court just recently on April 27th, arguing that the clock should have started later because of a separate transcript that was filed weeks after the main trial record. They also argued that Mackenzie would have been acquitted if she had received effective assistance of counsel. So again, there's a lot going on. In this case, still the appeal, while it was denied due to not filing it on time, they're not giving up. And as much as I think that that's exactly where Mackenzie should be, well, I mean, our that every prisoner, every convicted felon, excuse me, everyone has a right to an appeal as they do a trial. So, if she can get the Ohio Supreme Court to hear her appeal, then good for her. I guess we'll see if they're going to allow that to happen. Meanwhile, like I stated, her parents spoke with Chris Cuomo about some of this and about how things have been in prison for their daughter.
How do you explain what is reported as an unusual amount of misconduct tickets for violating prison rules?
Thank you for that. So, contraband isn't like drugs. It just means that you have something that's not on your vault list. So, let's say you have, I don't know, five things with you when they go and do like their searches or something. Then that's five tickets, five separate tickets because you have somebody, she, like for instance, she had to go to work in the morning and she didn't want to miss going to work, so she used her friend's alarm clock, wasn't on her vault list, so that would be considered contraband. So that's one. Then if you have somebody's
Okay, again, this is Chris Cuomo on News Nation. He is speaking to the parents of Mackenzie Shirilla. This is Mackenzie's mom. He starts out obviously with a question about that she's been getting into a lot of trouble, shocker, in prison. And of course, mom's like, "Oh, she had to get to work, and she borrowed a friend's alarm clock because she's so responsible." I mean, really? So mom and dad can't get her own alarm clock? I mean, to me, that's just silly. I mean, I don't know if this is just an example that she pulled out of her ass, but yeah, I mean, contraband. I mean, yeah, maybe it is something that you can't, have. It's not on your approved list, but an alarm clock because she didn't want to be late for work? Well, is that maybe because she's normally late for work and she's irresponsible? I mean, I don't know. This example to me, in Mackenzie's case, it doesn't fly for me anyway.
then if you have somebody's pillow or like an extra blanket, that's two tickets. So that's three right there, just in the same situation. So, and then the other one, so that's contraband. It doesn't mean drugs. It just means you have something that doesn't belong to you. It could be food, it could be literally anything. But and then if you have multiple things, each individual item is one thing. So that could add up. And then the other one would be like the misuse of medication. She thought, she was worried about her health, so she just wanted to take it was a prenatal vitamin because she just wanted to make sure that she was getting. She must not have felt good and wanted to make sure she was getting enough of the nutrients. So she took somebody's prenatal vitamin.
Aw, she wasn't feeling good, so she took someone else's vitamin. Well, Mom, you can't take someone else's medication whether they're over the counter or not. And it sounds like if they're this strict about pillows, blankets, and alarm clocks, okay, it sounds to me like she needs to go see the nurse, she needs to go see medical and speak to them about her concerns. If this is a legit issue because she's so worried about her health.
But
Were some of the tickets, as reported, for sexually explicit video calls with an ex inmate?
well, that I can't speak on. All I can say to that is she's in her early 20s. I can't. I don't know anything more about that. Or the only thing I can say is now that you know what the rules are, you got to follow the rules. That's the other thing I always tell my kids. Like, no matter where you go in life, everybody has a different set of rules you have to follow. I have rules at our house. You have rules at your house. They have different rules. Like wherever you go, those are the rules you have to follow. And sometimes
The problem is you guys never made her follow any rules. So this is a real wake-up call for Mackenzie, right? I mean, she now has to be in prison for for potentially for murdering her boyfriend and a friend, and she's gotta follow a lot of rules. So I don't know. I mean, she's either gonna crash and burn, which so far it seems more in that direction, or eventually she's gonna get her head on straight and actually learn how to become a productive member of society if she ever wants to get out of prison.
unfortunately, we don't know what the rules are until we do. And then when you do, then follow them.
Something you can speak to directly is when people hear you have explanations for innocent kinds of tickets, but you say you know nothing about the kind of ticket that would inform people about the nature of her personality, it becomes suspicious of your credibility. Do you understand that?
Hmm? Yes. No, well, I can't talk on the sex ticket thing. I mean, I'm sure we've all had spicy conversations with our friends and people, so I can't really speak to that. What I can speak on is that none of her tickets are aggressive or violent. She's got extra stuff that doesn't belong to her, like food, pillows, blankets, alarm clocks. You can get a sex ticket, by the way, just for hugging somebody else, which is unfortunate because those girls are going through all terrible times. And if you want to hug I don't know, but
Is
they're
it
not physically
fair?
aggressive or
Is it
anything.
fair in your opinion? That is true, especially in female prison.
Yeah,
By the way, they have very strict rules of fraternity or fraternization,
I'm sure.
which is a weird word to use because it comes from fraternity, which has to do with males, even though it's about females. But we have a very
Sure.
sexist culture.
Right.
Um, People point to, oh yeah, she loved Dom so much that she got a girlfriend as soon as she went to jail. Is that fair?
No, because what they're missing, she didn't go right to prison right after the car accident. So the car accident was July 31st. Okay. She was in the juvenile facility for almost a year after that. Okay. Then county for a couple of weeks and then went to Marysville. So there was a long time between. I mean, and people, we do gotta move on at some point, right? So the whole time when she was home, obviously she was going through nothing, laying in bed, crying all day long, going through his photos, wearing his clothes, listening to his music, writing about him, thinking about him, talking about him, going to the grave, going to the memorial, like every day. Same thing happened in like the juvenile facility. She would kept a journal and wrote to him every day, and talked to his family members on the phone every day. And then even when she went to Marysville for a little while, she had his photos. Dom and Davion's photos were all over her bed area, and wrote in the journal like every day. So it's not, they're missing a time frame there. Time has passed. A lot of time has passed.
On the what happens next part, you said you're dealing with counsel. Your daughter has an appellate team. Do they have a strategy? Are they planning to make a federal habeas corpus appeal here? And if so, on what basis?
I can't. I don't want to say anything
Okay.
about
But you
this.
do have a team and they are figuring out what to do.
Hmm.
Okay. Look, I mean, that's good because if it shows, if nothing else, a depth of belief in what you put out about the case. It's an uphill. They
I
appealed,
know.
they lost, they went to the Supreme Court, they refused to take the case. It doesn't mean it's dead, but appeal is usually for reversible procedural errors because you don't usually do it on the basis of facts on the appeal unless new facts have come out. So it's a high bar, but you know this from talking to counsel. When people see this, well, go ahead. Do you have a comment on what I just
I
said?
do. I'm learning. I have no idea about the legal world,
Hmm.
the criminal world. I don't want anything to do with any. This like terrifying and scary for me. Like we've never had any trouble with the law. I don't know these terms. That's why we were leaning on our lawyer so heavily. But there's something. Um, there's just preponderance of. Am I saying that wrong? I don't know what that.
Preponderance, which is
Something.
a legal standard, less than reasonable doubt, more than probable cause. Preponderance of the evidence. It's usually a civil standard, but in what context are you using it?
I don't know. I heard that term from somewhere, and I thought that there's not enough. There's too much reasonable doubt, and there's not enough proof of intent. I don't know. Somebody said
Well,
so.
look, I mean, again, a fact question is rarely reviewed by the appellate judge unless there's new information,
Right.
especially when the trier of fact here, the judge, is also the jury, which is also making the ruling in the bench trial.
Yeah.
They're given a lot. They're given a lot of sway. So, look, it's difficult, but there is a review standard that you're talking about right now, and that certainly seems to be the most likely avenue. Let me ask you if
As much as I believe very, very much so that Mackenzie did this on purpose. That she crashed into that wall. I mean, the evidence is there. I mean, it is there. Okay, she didn't try to break. She didn't do anything of the sort. The fact that she did not opt for a jury trial, I mean, that to me is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. A bench trial, you have just one person, that judge. You know, granted, a jury trial, they could all say you're guilty and and throw you in prison, and that probably would have happened for her, but she would have had a panel of her peers to try her to decide if she was guilty. So yeah, I think that that was a huge mistake, and I think that this family has already learned that the attorney that she got was awful. And that I do agree, the attorney was awful. I don't know if they're gonna get what I don't know how the chances are gonna be because, they filed the appeal 1 day late. I mean, you have all this time, and you can't get your appeal in on time. That's the one thing you gotta do. That's why the appeal got denied. Had nothing to do with what was presented in the appeal. They didn't even look at it. It did not arrive on time, so it immediately ended up in the trash.
Let me ask you, if that doesn't work, how do you prepare yourself? Under the Sixth Amendment, you have the confrontation clause. You have a right to confront your accusers and you have a right to trial by jury. Um, and here you exercise neither of those. And I don't say you
I know, you mean you
to
in
indict you.
general.
I'm saying that the team.
Yeah.
So look, Natalie, unless there's something else that you wanted to ask me or that you wanted to make sure came up, I want to thank you for taking this opportunity.
I thank you too. I did write some things. There's can we talk about Carney for a second? Carney talk.
Sure.
Is that okay? Do we have a second? So there's tons and tons of misinformation going on right now about this whole Carney talk thing of what she said in the hospital. Okay. So during a documentary, the prosecutor said, played a tape, and I can send you the video too if you want. And he said she says something like, "Can we just tell him I had a seizure?" That is not what she says. And there's a lot of people that speak it and can verify it. She says, "Can we tell him something about community service, and can you take my license away for 10 years?" Okay. She does not say the word seizure at all. The word seizure is very hard to say. It's full of a lot of Z's. It's seizure. Seizure is how you say the word seizure. I think people are confusing the word seizure with the word service because she says community service. So Caesar visas is service. Seizure is seizure.
Well, what
Okay.
language is that?
It's Carney talk. It's Carney talk. It's I've always known it. My family, it's just a fun, silly little language that we used to talk to like our friends. Like if me and my friend were walking down the street and somebody was cute and we didn't want them to hear us say he was cute, we would say he's really easy cute. Like he's really cute. So it's just a fun little silly little language. But when the detective came in and it's not sneaky, like there's nothing sneaky. That would be like saying people that are bilingual and speak Spanish or French or German are being sneaky when they're speaking in their different language. There's nothing sneaky about it.
No,
Um,
it's a little weird, but
and
I don't know that it's sneaky. I mean,
so it comes.
I'll put that under the same category as
I agree with Chris. Okay, it's weird. It is very, very weird that it's already weird her relationship that she has with her parents, okay? But it's weird that her parents, her mom, she and her mom have this quote unquote secret language carney talk. I mean, that's weird. You're not supposed to be your child's friend at least until they're an adult. And in my opinion, there was so many things that were done wrong. And yeah, I mean, a big portion of that is that they failed their daughter, in my opinion, because she's never taken responsibility for anything, and the fact that she's had to take now responsibility for driving into this wall and murdering two people. I mean, this is a lot for her. And, she's got two choices. She could take responsibility for it while she's in prison and potentially get out in 15 years, or she can just sit there and continue to be a jerk about things and just sit there, you know, and go, "Well, I didn't do anything wrong, I'm perfect, whatever. I didn't, it was an accident. I had a seizure," whatever her excuse is. But you got two choices, and her parents continuing to enable her and not tell her to continue to take the responsibility. Well, that's not going to help her either.
As your husband's ringtone.
Baby, they can dance like a man. I can shake 'em Sorry. Like Danny, I can shake 'em like a. I'm a buff baby.
What
They can
is
dance like
that?
a man.
Oh my God. That guy, that was hilarious, first of all. So that's from Adventure Time. And my kids, we used to watch that cartoon all the time and they love that. So that was one of his ringtones from them. That's a good cartoon. But anyway, it's just a fun, silly little language that wrestlers use. It's cardi talk. I don't know. It's just something silly, but that's a lot of
And why is it relevant? Because you think that people misunderstood what your daughter was asking for?
Well, yeah, well, that was reckless on the prosecutor's part because during the documentary, he says he or she's saying something in gibberish. Okay.
Mm.
And then she says something like, "Can we just tell him I had a seizure?" Well, if it's gibberish, why are you saying that she said, "Can I just have a seizure?" if you don't understand what she's saying? So that he was almost like planting a seed. Like, why are you doing that? That was weird to me. So he left that. And then, of course, the public just took off and ran with it. It's not what you
Right.
said.
But even if it were an excuse structure legally, a seizure is a reasonable potential physical
Well, yeah,
consequence of POTS. So
100%.
it wouldn't be taken as a connivance, which is, hey,
Well, what he's
let's make up a story, which is
right.
what he was arguing. But again, this is all the game of how a case is tried and which facts are emphasized and de-emphasized and contextualized, and that's very hard to
Yes.
review. Those choices.
It's just not there. It's not there. And my understanding is you're a lawyer, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I've talked to several lawyers, and every single lawyer has said that the prosecution's case was weak. And unfortunately, in Cuyahoga County, binding over, I guess, is you need this much of maybe evidence to get it bound over. My daughter's case should have never left that juvenile court. She should have been charged with two counts of vehicular homicide, and that's it. And
Oh, here we go. Dad's just protecting his baby girl. Oh, it should have never left juvenile court. Listen, Dad. Okay, listen. She knew exactly what she was doing. Okay? And yeah, they had plenty of evidence. They had the car examined. There was nothing wrong with the car. Mackenzie purposely she put her foot on the pedal and hit pedal to the metal, and she went by that area multiple times. She planned this. And only thing I don't know is if she planned to take her own life at the same time. That one I don't know the answer to. But did she plan on running into that wall? I believe 110%. I believe she did it, and and because you and your wife and dad especially, they just continue to protect her, and she doesn't take responsibility for anything. Look at dad. He lost his job because, oh, she was just doing a little bit of pot or doing a little bit of this. Well, you know what? She was a child. You were letting her do this, that, and the other thing. You were letting her live with her boyfriend while she was still in high school and still a juvenile. So many things that were just not done correctly as a parent. And again, you are not supposed to be your child's friend. You are supposed to be a parent.
she should have been charged with two counts of vehicular homicide, and that's it. And that's it. Simple as that.
Well,
That's
it's actually statistically, if you look it up, a couple of things. It's easy for anybody to say anything when it's not their case. Hindsight's 2020.
Yep.
A bind over trial, most juveniles get tried as juveniles. It is the exception that they get bound over into adult court because there's a presumption that kids can be rehabilitated in a way that adults cannot. They did not find that with your daughter. What does that mean to you?
They should have. Why they should have. There was no evidence to support the charges. There's none. There was none. This the prosecution came up with that she's a danger to society and blah blah blah, and there was no proof of that. They said that she had no remorse. They never spoke to her. I mean,
So one quick thing, and then we'll keep going about what the evidence was and why. Look, if they had brought in that she was intoxicated with the THC, if they had gone to a jury trial, if she had testified, this may have been a very different situation.
yeah,
However, those decisions weren't made. But just so people know, is that your wife that I'm hearing who's with you there?
yeah, yes.
Now, look, that's totally fine. Tell her I said hello. She is welcome
She
to
can hear you.
join. She's
Yeah,
welcome to
she can hear
join. I didn't want to box her out, just so you know.
She's
I'm welcome if she wants to talk. She's welcome.
She's sorry. I don't mean to smile or make light of this. She's my producer.
No, I
she
get
doesn't
it.
want me, she doesn't want me to say something that. Okay. She
She
says
is
hi.
She's your producer? Wow. I guess that's a nice new role for her, huh? She's my producer. The way the Shirella family works is something else, you know? It's something else. And yeah, Steve, you have said a lot of things publicly. The documentary was a big part of it that you shouldn't have said. So, besides the fact that you failed your child, I mean, the fact that you opened your mouth, I mean, that's not helping, your current state and your future either.
She
Says
is
hi.
free to say whatever she wants, however she wants, and if she wants to join, that's fine by me. I'm just putting it out there, Steve, just to explain who we're
Appreciate it.
hearing. I'm not
I-
judging it, Steve. I'm telling you what is out there
I don't
that
care. Listen, I don't
is
care what's
used for
out
the
there.
narrative and
Anybody,
giving you a chance to
but it's
explain
not
it or
true.
contest it.
But it's
That's
not.
the job.
But it's not true. It's not completely true.
I
and it
don't
does
know
not
whether
show
or not it's
non-remorse.
true. I only know what was said. I'm asking you why it was said and what it
I don't
means
know.
and why
I'm
it
not
is
her.
an indicative
I am
that
not
she had
her.
a nonchalance right after this.
It's not nonchalance. It's life. It's life. 3 months later, okay, being that the police and the courts never took her license away, never charged her with any car. She had a job interview, so we let her drive 3 months after this thing. So we let her go to the interview, which she got the job. Because what is she supposed to not do anything the rest of her life over this? Is she supposed to just turn away and shut up and never do a word? Listen, everything that's happened after this accident, a lot of it's been blown out of proportion, and it's unfortunate that the internet is allowed to run rampant with their nonsense. Okay, I don't care what anybody says about me. I'm a big boy. I can take anything they say. I don't care. I really don't care unless you're in my boat. I don't care.
Huh. Well, we can kind of see where your daughter gets some of her attitude from, huh? Yeah. You're upset because the public, the or social media and the media to some degree has called you out. They've put put the facts to you. They've said, "Listen, the perception that the judge had of your daughter of things and obviously that she was not taking responsibility, all these sorts of things. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, your blinders are quite thick, Steve. They are very thick. And yes, I understand this is your daughter, but it just seems as though you don't want to, give her, any responsibility for what she's done and the way you've not raised her to be a responsible person in this world."
I, sorry, say what you want, make little memes, blah blah blah, go crazy. Okay, I don't care. You have fun. Okay, you're the people out there are what's making this continue on and on and on. But the problem here isn't what I did. It's not what she did after the fact. It's what the court did to her. It's what the prosecution did to her, and it's the lack of evidence that is there now. Black box information, sure. If it's you got the car did this, the car did it, put the car in jail. But you have no evidence of why. And you can't just say, well, the science says she was going fast, so that's intent. That is absolute BS. Okay. And many lawyers that we've spoke to have agreed with that. I would think,
but not the appellate court and not the Supreme Court.
Oh.
Listen,
Steve, the evidence The evidence is against Mackenzie. The evidence. If we can't rely on the evidence, I mean, there's nothing to it. Look at this, my sidebar. People lie, evidence doesn't. The evidence against your daughter was there. It was there. And you could argue about it. You can choose not to believe it till you're blue in the face and continue to go on these interviews and argue how oh, they didn't prove this and this and that and the other thing. But guess what? The judge said she was guilty. The judge saw this evidence and she put your daughter in prison because she was guilty. She did this. She did this on purpose.
Hold on.
That's
I
my
came
problem.
into this saying to you, Steve, listen, I didn't cover this, okay? And I didn't because, it was a tragic circumstance, but there are lots of tragic circumstances, and you got to make choices in my business.
Gotcha.
But now that I'm analyzing crimes, I gave it fresh eyes. And the fact that they didn't argue diminished capacity when she had THC in her system, the fact that they chose a bench trial, and the fact that they did not put on any significant case in chief for the defense is why the judge had the opportunity to decide as she did.
Yes, I agree with your assessment on what the lawyer did and did not do. I totally agree. Yeah, this is where our dilemma is. We need help fixing this because there was a problem here with the lawyer.
But you have new lawyers now. Why did the appellate court and the Supreme Court refuse to acknowledge all that you're saying?
My understanding is this is how it was. This is how it was addressed to me with the second set of lawyers that we got. That we're not going to get any relief in Cuyahoga County because that is how Cuyahoga County is. Okay, right, wrong, or whatever. I don't know why the appellate court brought to attention the illegal proceeding of changing that coroner's report, and then never did anything about it. Okay, I don't know. You'd have to ask them
because they didn't believe it was reversible error, meaning that. They may not have followed the strict procedure of how to do it, but the findings were there.
If it would have been a jury, it would have biased the jury. If the judge wasn't already biased, it would have biased the judge. That's where the problem goes. Mind you, I don't think it would have biased the judge because I believe she was already biased before she walked in that courtroom. And she said, "I don't have a blood relation," and that's to me is all it takes. She has other relationships with that family, and that's it. And nobody's going to tell me differently. In fact, when this first happened, we had heard on the internet, mind you, this is what I heard. Somebody sent a note or it was posted someplace that
I'm a buff baby that can dance like a man. I can shake him
Sorry.
like Danny. I can shake him like a man. I'm a buff baby
What
that can
is
dance
that?
like a man. I can.
It's my phone. It's a phone ring. Anyway, sorry.
That's your ringtone.
It's for a friend of mine. It's a friend. Sorry, I don't mean to smile. I'm not making.
It got rejected because it was late. And yes, there was other things too to the issues, okay, that the reason that but the main reason that the Supreme Court didn't take it is it was late. It was late. And you attacking the judge, I mean, that's not helping you, Steve. That's not helping you guys at all. I mean, the fact that you chose this lawyer for your daughter and you allowed him to go with a bench trial, I mean, that's on you. I mean, that's on you. I mean, hell, God forbid I was in this situation with somebody I knew, I would never tell them to go with a bench trial. You want a jury of your peers in front of you. You want that jury, more than one person, up to 12 people, to have to look at the case and decide. Because, otherwise you just got the judge, one person. And saying that she was biased and that she had relations with these other families, I mean, that's quite a slight against them. And, talk about trying to muddy the waters. I mean, geez, now.
Steve, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to go through these.
But I'm going to be judged. It's not you that I'm not that I'm worried about it. It's what I say and how it's going to be taken. This will be a meme somewhere else. I'm not smiling because I find this funny. I'm not smiling and I find this asinine that this is going on, and not that I'm talking to you. Everything that's been said and done is just unbelievable, and just it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I just don't get it. And it's just smoke and mirrors to hide the fact that my daughter was unjustly charged. And we can argue this till you're blue in the face until someone can
I'm
show
not
me.
arguing with you. I'm asking you for your perspective on it. Do you believe that your daughter has any responsibility for what happened?
Look, she was driving. As a driver in Ohio, you have responsibility. Yes, she was a driver. But if she had a heart attack, hypothetical, if she had a heart attack in that car that caused this accident, is she
We have a
responsible?
very different situation.
Well,
an accident.
I'm using it as an example. What
Then
if
it's an accident.
Okay, what if she did? What if we could prove that her POTS caused her to pass out and she seized in the cause?
Then
of
it
the
would be an
accident?
accident.
What if we can prove that either one boy or the other boy did something in the car that caused the accident?
Then she would not have the intent and maybe not the act to trigger a charge.
What if we can prove that the car malfunctioned? This is hypothetical. I'm not.
But the car didn't malfunction, Steve. They tested the car very, very extensively. The car malfunctioning, it didn't happen. You can't use that. You can throw it in your pile of excuses and what ifs. You can throw all these what ifs, out into the world, but the car malfunctioning, that has been proven that it did not. And as far as, her having a seizure, that sort of stuff, well, that I don't think that would have caused her to stick her foot all the way down onto that gas pedal. And yeah, the boys, I think they were trying to stop the car. They didn't cause the accident. Mackenzie did. Your daughter caused the accident, and I believe she did it on purpose.
Then
Okay.
then it was an accident.
Okay.
And maybe there's a
But there-
case against the manufacturer.
Okay. So, with those 4 things or 3 things that I've brought up here, the POTS, the car, the boys, the other, okay, one of those 4 or 5 things, or a combination of several, she wouldn't be responsible. Yes, she should have been charged with vehicular homicide. She's the driver of the car. She has the responsibility as the driver. Listen, if you can prove to me that she did this with intent and purpose, then she's right where she belongs. I get it.
That's what they
It's
get from the
horrible.
texts where she says, I feel like killing someone. I want to bang my head against it. Dom saying that he needs space. Her
Um,
saying no.
That's not
You-
that's not proof of intent. That is, how many have you ever said to anybody, "Oh my God, I'm going to kill you"?
Yes.
Okay. And if they died, should you be charged with murder?
No, but I'd have to explain it.
Okay.
So what about all the times that she drove by that area? Did they have proof that she was in that area? Again, like Chris is stating, that you would have to answer for it. Um, Again, there's just so many things you could bring up, these what ifs, or what if this, what if that, um, you know, that she didn't mean to, or this and that. But I think that you're still refusing to believe the evidence. The evidence, Steve. The evidence is there that she did this on purpose. And it doesn't matter if she was having a moment of insanity, or, that she was upset that Dom was going to leave her, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. The fact that she thought about doing this, which it was proven that she did through these texts and other communications, but then she did this. So, yeah, she did this, and she is exactly where she belongs. She's in prison right now.
It's an analogy. I don't know how many times I've probably said, "Oh my God, I'm going to freaking kill you" over something stupid. It doesn't mean I'm going to kill you. And some of the stuff they used against her, like the thing that happened 2 weeks before, the supposed where she threatened to crash the car, that didn't happen. She did not threaten to crash that car.
How do you know?
Because we've got text messages that state otherwise. My understanding is that they had an argument in the car. Dominic grabbed the wheel and almost caused the car to crash. So my daughter pulled over, told him to get the hell out of the car. And then there's text back and forth with Dominic's mother and my wife stating it. I could send those to you if you'd like to see them.
Sure.
They're in. Okay. I could send them to you. I can't
They're
do it
out
right this
there.
Yeah, I know that. And that is what happened. And then we got him apologizing, this and that. So he did that. That was not my daughter. And then Christine, in the process of my daughter saying, come get your kid, or she's going to call me, she sent this guy named Christopher Martin to go fetch him. In the trial, Christopher Martin perjured himself, and he said that he went to get Dominic. He was driving, and I don't know how he got from where he was living to that car to get behind them. To hear her say that is a lie. What happened was they were already pulled over. Okay, Christopher Martin pulled up behind her. He says that he was on the phone with Dom. He was not on the phone with Dom, because in the interview that are on Crime Circus that the detective did with Christine Russo, she says, I was on the phone with Dom until Christopher got there.
Right.
Okay. That's true. That happened. That is a fact. Okay. Christopher Martin lied. He said he pulled up while they were going. He was on the phone with Dom and he heard her say, I'm going to crash this car. Then they pulled over. She was already pulled over. In the text messages that my wife and my sister-in-laws we got off her phone and then we got off my wife's phone state that. And the prosecution knew it. It still put let me call him Hench, because this is the felon that lives in Christine Russo's basement. Okay. So a sitting judge took the word of a 7-time felon. Our lawyer did nothing to counter it, because
that's your problem.
I agree.
You say it now, but it didn't happen in trial.
And that's why we're arguing this. I should have been arguing this right from day one. This is where we need help. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for help because an injustice was done to my daughter. A witness perjured himself on the stand. How do I fix that? There's no way.
An injustice was done to Dom and Davion. What about Dom and Davion? Don't you think that you and your wife, you and Natalie continuing to speak out about how wronged Mackenzie was by the court system? Don't you think that that's like continuing to victimize the victims and their families? I mean, what do you think about that? And you're putting it out there that, their parents, all these things. I mean, I think that you're hammering, in. You're just making it worse for the victims' families, in my opinion.
Because an injustice was done to my daughter. A witness perjured himself on the stand. How do I fix that? There's no way of fixing it, because I got a judge, because every appeal goes back to her court. It goes back to her court, and she gets to decide. And the reason she's not going to go against her, because her ego, okay, and she's biased. She's either biased, she's on the take, or she's incompetent.
Well, when you appeal, it will go to other judges. And if they order a new trial,
it goes right back to her court. So if the appellate court would have said this is going to go back to trial, it goes back to Nancy Margaret Russo's courtroom.
Right, but then you would argue that she's got to recuse herself.
Well, and we did that at this trial because of the last name, and she said,
"I know, but that's
I
not
don't have a blood relation," which is
but
a
that's
lie.
not a thing. I mean, there are a lot of people named Russo.
Yeah, but not in Cuyahoga County. They're all related. And I'm sorry, if it's not with Christine Russo, it's with somebody else that's connected to her. Look, again, I have just as much proof that there's a conspiracy or a fix or a favor that they have that my daughter did this with purpose. Sorry, that's it. And if you don't want to believe it, that's fine.
No, listen, it's not about what I believe. I'm here to give you an opportunity to say what you mean and to test why you believe it. Okay. And that's what I hope you understand that I'm doing. What just came out from what came out from TMZ, where they grabbed audio from prison phone calls, where Natalie is criticizing the family of Dom's family, calling them evil. What is that about?
Let's see. For 4 years, there hasn't been a peep out of them for the most part. My understanding, there's a half sister, a Christine Russo Jr., and I don't want to talk bad about the family at all. I understand their anger and I understand they lost somebody, but to go online and badmouth anyone who's defending my daughter makes them look bad to me. Okay. And my wife was talking to my daughter, and it was a private conversation. I must say it's a private conversation. It's a conversation between my wife and my daughter. And It has nothing to do with anybody else. And if she, and it's unfortunate that the Russo family or others have been saying the stuff they're saying.
Conversations that you have with prisoners is not private and it's not privileged. The only time that would happen is if she was speaking to an attorney. She speaks to you or your wife Natalie, then this is all publicly, the corrections officers listen to it. It can be pulled by TMZ. It can be requested via FOIA. Phone calls to prisoners are not private. It's said at the beginning of every single phone call that they are recorded.
Again, nobody knows my wife. Nobody knows me. Nobody knows my daughter. And the make past judgment on us is just narrow-minded nonsense from internet trolls. I mean, hey, make your podcast. Say what you want. Again, it's unfortunate. And like I said, I feel for the families. I don't know what they want me to do. Should I wear a black dress and a veil the rest of my life? Look, I'm sorry Dominic and Davion passed away in this accident. And that is all this was an accident. And it's unfortunate and it's tragic. And I can't imagine their pain in that. I can't. I'm sorry. But at some point, I have to defend my daughter. My daughter who was wrongly convicted. If she would have been charged with vehicular homicide and put in 5 years or whatever, then she got what she deserved. There's no proof to change that. Vehicular homicide is when someone dies when you're in a car accident, and there's no other answer. And there is no other answer in this case. Just because you want it to be murder doesn't mean that it is. Just because you don't like my daughter doesn't mean she's guilty of murder.
Well, it sounds like Steve is and Natalie are not going to change their attitudes, their feelings about their darling Mackenzie anytime soon. I don't feel sorry for her. I just don't. And Steve, especially with how you're speaking out, and then you know how she did, how basically, oh, she was so wrong, this and that and the other thing. Again, it goes back. It harkens right back to the fact that you have never made Mackenzie take responsibility, and she's never had to grow up. She's forced to be doing a lot of this stuff now while she's in prison. And you going out and going, "Oh, these internet trolls, these people on these podcasts and yada yada yada." It is what it is, man. It is what it is. And you don't have to like the media. You don't have to like the social media. All of us here on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, okay? You don't have to like it, but the fact remains that you did a documentary. First of all, this whole entire thing was horrific, and I believe Mackenzie did it on purpose. That's my personal opinion. And a judge found her guilty of this. Okay? But the documentary did nothing to make Mackenzie look any better. It did nothing for that. So I don't know, if you guys realize that was yet another mistake, like the lawyer you chose and the fact that you went with a bench trial. I don't know. It's just a continual domino effect of bad decisions on the fact of on your part, Natalie's part, and your daughter's part. It's like the three of you guys are, it's all one bad decision. And I mean, yeah, I understand you're gonna sit there and defend her. But when does she take responsibility for her actions, Steve? When does she sit there and realize that she was wrong and she did this and admit to what she did? I guess it's just never going to happen if you're going to continue to coddle her and enable her. But again, I guess you're not going to see that. Um, and I guess that's why the system has to do it for you and for her. But let me know your thoughts, guys. Again, this was obviously from Chris Cuomo. I will link to the video itself, and he's on News Nation. And with that said, I hope you have a great rest of the day. And most of all, stay safe.
Bye.